Okay, in this lecture, let us talk about classification of digital systems. So the first classification is linear systems. So a digital system is linear if and only if like alpha times x1 of n plus beta times x2 of n gives rise to alpha times y1 of n plus beta times y2 of n. Okay, so you notice that linearity implies two principles. The first one is homogeneity. Okay, so it says that if the input is multiplied by a constant, the output also multiplied by the same constant. Okay, if x1 of n gives rise to y1 of n, right, then if the input is multiplied by alpha times x1 of n, then the output will also be multiplied by the same constant alpha and y1 of n. So this is an important corollary, that is, if alpha is equal to 0, that means if the input is 0, the output should also be 0. So straight away you can check out whether the system is linear or not by simply substituting alpha equal to 0. No need to go to the superposition principle. So the second principle is superposition. So the system is linear if it obeys both of them, homogeneity and superposition. There are systems which obey homogeneity but not superposition. They are non-linear systems. Similarly, there are systems which obey superposition but not homogeneity. So a linear system is the one in which homogeneity and superposition, both the principles are valid. Otherwise, you cannot say the system is linear system. And one of the important outcomes of this is that zero input for a linear system, that is, zero input should lead to zero output. So that is a homogeneity. Zero input should lead to zero output. This is obviously we will expect from a linear system. Okay, therefore this homogeneity is a necessary condition but not sufficient condition. Okay, it is not sufficient because zero input leads to zero output only implies homogeneity, but it does not imply superposition. Therefore, it is a necessary condition but not sufficient condition. So homogeneity and superposition are necessary and sufficient conditions for linearity, which means that if a system disobeys or violates one of these principles, it is non-linear. And very simple test would be, first thing to do for a given system is, does zero input lead to zero output? If it does, then you proceed with further testing, not otherwise. If zero input does not lead to zero output, then the system is non-linear. You can stop further testing. Okay, you don't have to do the test. You don't have to test superposition. Okay, let us take some examples. So in the previous lecture we talked about accumulator. What is your accumulator? Y of n is equal to sigma L is equal to minus infinity to n x of L. Now this is a linear system because you put x of n, you take x1 of n and x2 of n, multiply them by alpha here and beta here. Okay, superimpose, you will get alpha times y1 of n plus beta times y2 of n. So this is very simple, okay, you can prove this. Therefore this is a linear system. But the same linear system, as I told earlier, can also be written as y of n is equal to y of minus 1 plus sigma L is equal to 0 to n x of n. Now is this linear? No, this is not linear. Same system, but I am writing in the different form. Okay, so it is not linear. Okay, because making x of L, I'm sorry, this is L, right? Homogeneity is violated here. So x of L, if you make 0, then y of n is not equal to 0. Homogeneity principle is violated. Okay, so making x of L is equal to 0 does not make y of n equal to 0 because of this initial condition. So in this characterization of the system, y of minus 1 is an initial condition. And okay, this initial condition can be given any arbitrary value, but this non-linear system will become linear if y of minus 1 is equal to 0. If y of minus 1 is equal to 0, then this non-linear system becomes linear. Linear only if y of minus 1 is equal to 0. If you want to test this system by rigorous means you take alpha times x1 of n and beta times x2 of n and check, then finally you will end up with a non-linear system. Okay, you can do that. By the same token, if you have a system given below like y of n is equal to m times x of n plus some constant c. Okay, it is an equation to a straight line. It is a linear equation, but it does not describe a linear system because there is a initial condition. Okay, so because of this c, when I make x of n is equal to 0, y of n is not equal to 0. Okay, so this c indicates initially charged capacitor, then it becomes non-linear, or initial flux in an inductor, then also it is a non-linear system. Okay, so let me consider one more example. Okay, so let us say y of n is equal to x of n minus 1 times x of n plus 1. And is this linear? No, it is non-linear. Okay, so this is not linear. You can check it, but it satisfies the homogeneity property. Okay, so this is not linear because superposition is not valid. Superposition is not valid, but homogeneity satisfied. Valid. Okay, that is if x of n is equal to 0, then what will happen for all n? Then y of n is naturally it is 0. Substituting there, it leads to 0. But superposition is not satisfied. Okay. The next classification of the digital system is time invariance. Time invariance property. Because time has time has lost its significance in digital system. Okay, therefore this is also called shift invariance. It is also called shift invariance because n minus 1 simply means shift to the right by one sample. N plus 1 shift to the left by one sample. However, we will continue to use the term time varying or time invariant systems. So the definition is as follows. If x of n gives rise to y of n, then the delayed version of x of n by an amount n naught will also give rise to y of n minus n naught. Okay, it looks very innocent, but there are systems in which it is a bit involved. Okay, and to test the system, whether the system is time varying or time invariant. And this n naught is an integer, it can't be any other value. Okay, so it should be an integer, so it can be either positive or negative. So in the interpretation of this is that the output waveform, whether the input is shifted or not, the output waveform is preserved. It is simply a bodily shifted. Okay, the shape of the waveform does not change, only the location is changed, that's all. Okay, if the input is shifted by n samples, the shift can be to the right or to the left. Okay, then the output also will be shifted by the same amount, the shape will remain the same. Okay, the plot of y of n versus n is called a waveform, and therefore shift invariance or time invariance is also an waveform preserving transformation. Okay, so if you shift the waveform, input a waveform to the left or to the right by the same amount, the output waveform also will be shifted to the left or right. So then that means what? The shape of the waveform is not changed, but only you are bodily shifting, you are taking the waveform to some other location, that's all, translating, that's it. Okay, now if a system obeys linearity and a time invariance, then it is called an LTI systems, linear time invariant digital systems. Linear time invariant digital systems. Okay, and this LTI digital system will be our focus in this course. We will mainly be concerned with the LTI digital systems. Wherever a non-linear or time varying system we deal with, we will point it out specifically. If nothing is specified, then you take it that it is an LTI discrete systems. Okay, now let me consider LTI DS systems. Now the example I would like to consider upsampler. So the upsampler is defined as y of n is equal to x of n by L, where n is equal to 0 plus or minus L, comma plus or minus 2L, and so on and so forth, and 0 otherwise. So this is a definition of upsampler. And what is L here? L is the sampling rate increase factor. Sampling rate increase factor. So here x of n leads to x of n by L. Now let us call n by L is equal to small p. Okay, and this n by L has to be integer for the signal to exist. Right, now what you do is delay this x of n by certain amount n naught, n minus n naught, and this gives rise to x of n minus n naught whole divided by L. One second, let me write down properly. If we give the x of n to the upsampler by L, what is output? x of n by L, right? Let me call this x of n by L as x of p, small x of p. Now, if the input is delayed by x of n minus n naught, then you upsample, then x of n by L minus n naught. So n is replaced by n by L, that's it, okay. So this is x of p minus n naught. Okay, let me call this as equation number 1 and equation number 2. Right? Now, from equation 1, what is y of n? Y of n is x of p. Now the input is delayed by certain amount. What is that amount? N naught units. So this gives rise to the same delay in the output also. So y of n minus n naught. So y of n minus n naught is the this is equal to x of n by L, right? So one second, I don't want to confuse. So y of n is equal to x of n by L. Now delay the output by n unit. So replace n by n naught, then this is going to be n minus n naught by L. Now let's say this is equation number 3. Now are they same? No. See, I got here something else. Compare these two guys. They are not equal. There we got x of n by L minus n naught, and here x of n minus n naught whole divided by L. So if we compare equation 2 and 3, they are not the same. So they are not identical. So therefore, the shape of the waveform is not preserved by the delay. Therefore, upsampler is a time varying system. It's a time varying system. Okay. Maybe I will work it out one more time. See, x of n, if you give it to a system, you will get a x of n by L. Let me call y of n. Now, let me call this as x of p. I assumed n by L is equal to p. So if I give x of n, I am getting x of p. Now if I delay the input by n minus n naught, then I am getting x of p minus n naught. What is p here? X of n by L minus n naught. Okay, this is as far as the input side is concerned. Now delay the output side. Y of n, we know the value y of n is x of n by L. Delay by n minus n naught, then it should get a x of n by L minus n naught, but what you are getting is n minus n naught by L. Okay, in this you are replacing n by n minus n naught, therefore n minus n naught whole divided by L, and this is not equal to that one. Therefore the system is a time varying system. Similarly, you can show that downsampler is also a time varying system. Upsampler and downsampler, both are time varying system. We can show that. Now the next question is the upsampler a linear system? Yes, upsampler is a linear system. Okay, so to understand this concept a little more carefully, a little more in detail, let us take an example. Okay, so 1, 2 and 3, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Let me call this is my x of n. Now upsample by 2 units. So L is equal to 2 here. Now if you do the upsampling, then it will be at 0 it is 1, and then 1 and 2, at 2 it is 2, and 3 no value. At 4 you have 3 units, and at 5 and 6 it is 0. So this is my y of n. It's upsampled version of x of n. Okay, so y of n is equal to x of 2n, sorry, x of n by 2. Okay, now you delay the input by 1 unit. If you delay by 1 unit, then here you will get 1, 2 and then 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. This is x of n minus 1. Now upsample by 2 units, L is equal to 2. So what will you get here? You will get the following. At 0 no value, at 1 no value, at 2 it will be 1, and 3 no value, at 4 it is 2, and 5 no value, and 6 it is 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is y of n minus 1. Now from this you find out y of n minus 1. Delay by 1 sample. What will happen? Okay, so delay by 1 sample, so it comes here. This is 0. At 1 it becomes 1, and at 1 it is 0. 1 sample, right? 1, this is 2. At 3 it becomes 2, 4 no value, and 5 it becomes 3, and so on and so forth. This is y of n minus 1, and this y of n minus 1 and this y of n minus 1, are they same? No, they are not same. Therefore an upsampler is a time varying system. Whenever you are in doubt for an analytical proof, you take an example, a very simple example that will clearly show whether the system is time varying system or time invariant systems. Okay, so 3, 4 and this is 5. This guy has come over here, and this guy has come over here, and this guy has come here. Okay, so the next property is causality. Okay, so the next characterization we talk of causality. A digital system is said to be causal. Okay, let's understand conceptually what it means. Okay, then we will go to the definition. A causal system is one which cannot predict the future. Okay, so it cannot predict the future. So it gives the output based on the current input and past input. Therefore, in human beings, there are people, okay, who claim to be non-causal. They can predict. They are called astrologers, right? And the roots are in Vedas or Vedic astrology. Okay, it has come to be recognized. However, in electrical engineering system, prediction may or may not work, and usually all predictions are very positive. So in electrical engineering system, it cannot predict what will come in the future, and that is called a causal system. Another name of a causal system is a realizable system. Realizable system. So formally, the definition is that y of n, the present output depends on the present input x of n and its past values, and perhaps also the past values of the output. Therefore, y of n depends on present input x of n and past input x of n minus I, and also the past output y of n minus I. Okay, y minus j, where this I and this j, I and j are positive integers. Okay, not negative. Okay, suppose y of n depends on x of n plus 1. That means the system at the present moment predicts what will come on a sample later, and that is not permitted, right? So in fact, no system can do that. It doesn't know what is going to come in the future, right? So how can you predict it? So you can't do that. So we don't have a physical device which can advance time. You can only delay. There is no advancement. Only delay and no advancement. Okay, now let us see what the formal definition is. The formal definition is, now in terms of formal mathematical language, it says that a digital system is causal if and only if x1 of n is identical with the x2 of n for n is less than or equal to capital N. Okay, where capital N is some integer, and then this implies y1 of n is also identical to y2 of n for certain integer n is less than or equal to capital N. So what does it mean? It means that if small n exceeds capital N, then x1 of n and x2 of n may be different. Then y1 of n and y2 of n will also be different. But as long as the two inputs are identical, what comes in the future for x1 of n and x2 of n is not anticipated by the system. So this is the formal definition and this is the interpretation. Now let us take a very simple example and see whether the system is causal or non-causal. Suppose you take a system in which y of n is equal to x of n squared. Now the question is this causal? No, it is non-causal. Why? Substitute n is equal to 2, then y of 2 is equal to x of 4. X of 4 is yet to come, and therefore this is non-causal, right? At 2 seconds, the output at 2 second depends on the output at the 4th second. So x of 4 is yet to come. Therefore, this is non-causal. Let us take a moving average system. What is moving average? Y of n is equal to x of n plus x of n minus 1 plus x of n plus 1 whole divided by 3. So this is also non-causal because this y of n depends on the future input x of n plus 1. Agreed? So this is also non-causal. But then if we cannot realize a non-causal system, if all our systems are causal, then why are we talking of it, right? See, all physical systems are causal systems. Okay, so no non-causal systems can be realized. All realizable systems are causal systems. Okay, we never realize a non-causal system. No one can, because any electrical systems cannot predict what is going to occur in the future, right? So in such a case, all are no causal systems. Then what is the purpose to study this classification, causal and non-causal? Okay, so why are we talking of it? So why are we making a distinction between causal and non-causal systems? Because the distinction arises from the non-causal signal processing, right? The distinction arises because non-causal signal processing. Okay, so please let us try to understand this very carefully. Non-causal signal processing is possible from recorded data. Okay, so non-causal systems and non-causal signal processing is possible from recorded data, not from the live data. Okay, so generally the geophysicist, for example, he goes to the field and records by seismograph, okay, the vibrations. He gets back to the laboratory and then analyzes it. Okay, so whenever you have recorded data, then you can do the non-causal signal processing. So now when you are analyzing a particular output y of n, he knows what is going to come because it is a recorded data. So on recorded information, non-causal signal processing is possible. On recorded information, non-causal signal processing is possible. Okay, so and in geophysics in particular, also in weather prediction, non-causal processing is possible, but you cannot realize this in hardware. Non-causal systems cannot be realized in hardware. Only software is possible from the recorded data. Okay, so it is a processing, it is a data processing basically. Therefore, whenever you have non-causal, it is basically data processing. So hardware realizations have always to be causal. You cannot anticipate what is going to come in the future. So formally, a signal x of n is causal. X of n is causal if x of n is equal to 0 for n less than 0. So you have to start the signal somewhere, okay, call that point n equals 0, and therefore the signal is causal. But then if you have values like x of minus 1 and x of 0 and so on, then this is non-causal signal. So far signals can be non-causal. What is x of minus 1? You start your processing at n equals 0, but you know the initial value also. X of minus 1 is the initial value. If you combine x of minus 1, then it is a non-causal signal. Mostly we will talk of causal signals. So what I said earlier was causal system. Causal system cannot predict what will happen in the future. But if we have recorded data, yes, it is possible to predict. And if a signal which has an initial value, so you start your processing, whatever time you start, you call that n equals 0. N equals 0 is arbitrary, okay, you can go back to the origin of time. So wherever you start your processing, we call it n equals 0, and a signal is causal if x of n is equal to 0 for n less than 0. Okay, a signal is causal, x of n is a causal signal if x of n is equal to 0 for n less than 0. Okay, so our next concern is stability. So unless you want an oscillator or digital oscillator, all digital systems to be useful have to be stable. So there is no other way. And stability that we bother about in DSP or in signals and systems is the so-called BIBO stability. That means bounded input, bounded output stability. As long as the input is bounded, then the output is also bounded. Then you call it BIBO stability. So the definition goes as follows. So a digital system is stable if and only if mod of x of n is less than some number, let's say bx, which is strictly less than infinity. Then this leads to magnitude of y of n is less than or equal to by and less than infinity. Okay, so a digital system is stable if and only if a bounded input x of n, which is less than bx, which is less than infinity. Okay, that means a bounded signal is one which is less than a certain number, which is less than infinity for all n. And then this implies the output y of n, which is less than some other number by, which is also less than infinity. Then you say the system is BIBO stable systems. That is, if the input sequence is bounded, the output sequence should also be bounded. Let us take an example. Now sometimes we don't put this also, so we say strictly less than. So let's say y of n is equal to 1 over n square. Okay, so is this stable system? Obviously this is an unstable system. Why? When n equals 0, then y of 0 becomes 1 by 0, this is infinity. Therefore the input is bounded, but the output is unbounded. Now let us take an example of moving average system. Y of n is equal to 1 over m summation of x of n minus k, and the limit is k equals 0 to m minus 1. If mod of x of n is bounded by bx, which is less than infinity, obviously y of n will be less than or equal to 1 over m summation k is equal to 0 to m minus 1 bx. Let's say x of n, this is less than, you can put less than or equal to, not an issue because it is a finite value, no issues. So less than or equal to some number bx less than infinity, but this is strictly less than, and this one is less than or equal to. Okay, and from this what will happen, you take magnitude on this y of n, then magnitude of 1 over m summation of k is equal to 0 to m minus 1 x of n minus k. This is for all n, okay, this condition. Now you take magnitude both side, so I am coming from here. Then this 1 by m is constant, you can take it outside of the magnitude, and then summation of x of n minus k magnitude. If you take this magnitude inside the summation, then this equality becomes less than or equal to 1 over m summation of magnitude of x of n minus k. Again k is equal to 0 to m minus 1. This is my magnitude of y of n. Now what is this value? This signal is bounded by bx. So 1 over m summation of k is equal to 0 to m minus 1 bx. How many bx's are there like this? M number of bx. So this is 1 over m times m times bx. M and m will get cancelled, therefore bx. See, the magnitude of y of n is bounded. So as long as the input is bounded, the output is also bounded. Therefore the moving average system is a stable system. Okay, so here I have written less than or equal to, so I can replace all of them by their uppermost value. See, I put less than or equal to here, so I can put like this. So it is a bounded input and bounded output system. Now suppose y of n is simply an accumulator going from 0 to infinity. You just simply accumulate x of n minus k, and k is equal to 0 to infinity. Then is this a stable system? The answer is no. Why? Because there are infinite number of samples. Okay, even if x of n is bounded, the output is bound to go to infinity as n goes to infinity, because you are adding infinite number of samples, right? See, x of 0, substitute k is equal to 0, then you will get x of n plus x of n minus 1 plus x of n minus 2 plus dot 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 up to x of n minus infinity. Infinite number of samples you are adding now. What is the maximum value this takes? Bx plus bx, this takes bx, and this guy gives bx plus like this. How many terms? Infinite number of bounded terms. So you are adding infinite number of finite values. So if you add infinite number of finite values, then it leads to infinity unbounded value. Even though the input is bounded, or even though the inputs are bounded, but the output is not bounded, therefore the system is unbounded system, unstable system. Okay, so the accumulator is an unstable system. Okay, and the next classification is passivity. So the concept of passivity is very similar in analog system. That is, the energy of the output cannot exceed the energy of the input. It is very obvious, right? Energy of the output cannot exceed energy of the input. Okay, so now a digital system is said to be passive if this passivity condition is satisfied. Namely, the energy of the output by definition is, how do you find out the energy? You take y of n, take modulus if it is complex and square it, and then sum them up from minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is the output energy. Output energy. Okay, so well, here n can be all possible values from minus infinity to plus infinity, and the energy of the input, you take x of n, if it is complex take modulus and square them up, and then take minus infinity to plus infinity. What is this? Input energy. Now the system is passive if the output energy, what is output energy? Y of n square is this output energy less than or equal to input energy x of n input energy. Okay, then you say the system is passive. In other words, system cannot generate energy. Okay, for example, if you take a RLC, networks are passive networks. On the other hand, if you have RLC networks combined with op amps or transistors, it can become active. Now, where does the extra power come from? From power supply. Okay, suppose if you have some op amps like this, then positive VCC and negative VCC. In such a case, output energy can be greater than input energy, and this extra power has come from the power supply, plus VCC and minus VCC. The digital system is also a passive system, and it is defined in this way. And now, if this equality is satisfied, okay, equality is satisfied, then you call the system is lossless system. Lossless system. That means what? The output energy is the same as input energy. Y of n, take modulus square, is equal to input energy. That means there is no loss in the system, inside the system. That's it. And this is an artificial concept. Okay, there is no concept of energy in numbers when you are handling only numbers. So but we have to introduce this concept because it facilitates mathematical treatment. Now let us take one example. Y of n is equal to alpha times x of n minus capital N. Okay, so y of n is equal to some alpha times x of n. This would be a passive system if magnitude of alpha can be magnitude of alpha is less than 1. On the other hand, if alpha is greater than 1, then it is an active system, it generates some power. Okay, if alpha is less than 1, then the system is passive. Passive if alpha is less than 1 and alpha is greater than 1, then it is an active system. Okay, now let us take a time reversal system. Time reversal system. So how do you write time reversal system? Y of n becomes x of minus n. Okay, so time reversal system is a system which simply reverses the time. Now the question is it a linear system? Is it linear? Yes. Is it causal? No, because it depends on the future value. Because when you put n is equal to minus 1, then you'll get y of minus 1 becomes x of 1. Now, is it time varying? Time varying system or time invariant system? Time varying? Yes, it is time varying system. Because x of n minus n naught leads to x of minus n naught. Okay, so the trick is this. In such a cases, do the following to get rid of the confusion. See, x of n gives rise to y of n. What is y of n? X of minus n. Now substitute minus n is equal to p. So this is x of p. Now if the input is x of n minus n naught, then it gives rise to x of p minus n naught. See, x of n becomes x of p. X of n minus n naught becomes x of p minus n naught. Now replace p by minus n. We assumed this. Minus n naught. On the other hand, you replace y of n by y of n minus n naught. Okay, what is y of n? Y of n is here. Y of n is equal to x of p. What is x of p? X of p is x of minus n. Now this is x of, okay, n is replaced by n minus n naught. Okay, so y of n becomes y of n minus n naught. And what is y of n? X of minus n. So this side also I should replace by minus symbol. Right? So I think I am confusing. 1 minute. Y of n is equal to x of minus n. Now see, the n is replaced by minus n. Now y of n minus n naught is replaced by x of, instead of, see, the n becomes here. The same thing has to come here, n minus n naught. So this is going to be x of minus n plus n naught. But here you have something else, minus n naught. So they are not equal. The two different, okay, these are, these two are different. Therefore it is a time varying system. Now the next question is it a stable system? Yes. Okay, of course, if x of n is bounded, y of n is also to be bounded. Finally, is it passive? Yes, it is passive. And then what else left? Let us see. Okay, I think let me stop at this point. In the next lecture, we will talk about a little bit about stability. I think stability is over. Okay, so till now we discussed linearity, non-causal, stable, passive, and time varying. Okay, so these are the classification of digital systems. Now in the next lecture we will talk about impulse response and step response of digital systems for different digital systems. Okay, like what is the impulse response of an accumulator, and what is the impulse response of an upsampler and downsampler, right? And then moving average systems, all those things we will see in the next lecture. okay, and then followed by some more digital systems like interpolator, and then we will enter into LTI systems, and then formally we will derive the convolution sum formula for LTI systems. Okay, I think so. I think this is a right time to stop at this point. Thank you very much.